This week we sail north to Port Ellen on the island of Islay. Scotland is famous for whisky and Islay doubly so, and while we're here we try to do the free Distilleries Walk to try out some Islay Scotch.
Hi, we're Dave and Jude, and we sold up our home and left our jobs and our lives behind to live on board our sailboat, Anam Cara. Since leaving Portsmouth on the south coast of the UK, we've had quite an adventure, visiting wild Atlantic islands, Irish pubs, spotting whales and watching motorsports. We're embracing life and all that it has to offer. Come with us as we continue to sail north and explore the UK's magnificent coastline all the way up to the Scottish Islands and beyond. We'll be exploring the lochs of Scotland and the Hebridean Islands and discover the wildlife and communities on the way. We have new videos out every Saturday, so make sure you subscribe to avoid missing an episode. We spent 2 nights at Gear. Last night we went to the fabulous Boathouse restaurant. Anybody on our Instagram or Facebook will have seen the pictures. Probably the best table we've ever had. We were literally on the beach on a picnic table, but it was Michelin star quality food for sure. We had scallops and prawns, followed by fish of the day for me, which was rock bass or stone bass. I can't remember the correct name. Wreck fish, I think, is another word for it. And Jude had a whole crab. And then we had desserts, which were absolutely fantastic as well. So highly recommended. Especially we lucked out and got a very sunny evening, so it was nice and warm sitting there, lovely views and everything. I imagine in the rain it wouldn't be quite so fun. Clearly a good restaurant because there's 3 kind of tiers of seating. There's the inside, which is pretty dark. It's a standard Scottish building, small windows, that sort of thing. Then there's a veranda with a cover over it, and then there are, I don't know, 10 picnic tables just next to the beach. All of them were completely full, so and that's been the case both nights. So yeah, clearly a very well regarded restaurant. We had a walk yesterday, that was pretty good, and now we are setting sail for Islay, or Islay. I'm not actually sure how it's technically pronounced. This is world famous for whiskies, so heavily peated whiskies like Bowmore, Laphroaig, Ardbeg, are all on Islay, and we hope to do a couple of tours and show you guys the bays where these distilleries are. So fingers crossed. There's a bit of wind today. We might actually be sailing. I think it is coming from the northwest, which is where we're going, so we'll see how good the sailing ends up being. But yeah, worst case we motor. It's not very far at all. I think it's a couple of hours across the bay, so yeah, we'll see how we get on.
Where is it now? Am I clear at the pickup point?
Yeah, very clear.
Well, we're about halfway between the islands now. The wind was directly on the nose when we came around the south corner of Gear, and there's an island there called Cara, which, as we know, is Celtic for friend. Came around that corner. We were sailing before we got there, and then turned dead into the wind. I was expecting us to accelerate because with the effect of sailing forwards, We were in probably 10 or 12 knots of wind was predicted, and we turned into the wind and it just died, which is very rare. I thought we were going to have to reef when we came around the corner, because if we were sailing at 5 knots plus 12 knots of wind would be 17 knots of apparent, and we ended up going about half a knot. So we put the motor on. We've got to recharge the battery anyway, but it's frustrating having to motor across when the predicted wind was looking pretty good. We could have tacked across the bay quite happily, but you know, it's fine. We have to do this occasionally. We're trying to currently make the most of this settled weather and move about, and the forecasts keep changing. The other day the forecast for today was 4 knots of wind, and that feels about right. So maybe there's an anomaly in one of the weather models or something, I don't know. But we can see Islay now. It's starting to clear. It was very misty this morning, low-lying clouds, but that's clearing. It's absolutely freezing today. Yesterday we were in shorts and t-shirt and we were hot. We sat out and had that lovely meal. Today I'm back in my snug, which is an incredibly warm coat, and still quite cold. So we're hoping it's going to warm up when we get to land. It quite often is cooler at sea, but this feels very autumnal, as if we've hit the end of the season all of a sudden. We'll see. I don't think we have. I think it's just a cold morning. So yeah, just heading directly for Islay. We can start to see some of the distilleries now off in the distance. We wouldn't catch them on this camera, and I don't think it's worth getting the big camera out for, because we will get closer at some point and get some decent shots. And right now both of us are just sitting on deck waiting to arrive. There's no action of sailing or anything to do. We're looking out for pond markers and stuff, but just a tedious day on the water really. So hence not very many updates have been going on. Jude saw a minke whale again. Didn't get very good footage of it again, because they just pop up and then they disappear again for 10 minutes and you don't know where they've gone. So yeah, not much happening today, but still better than being in the office. Hello from Islay. So we arrived yesterday, and today we are off on a pub crawl of sorts. So it's the fanciest pub crawl you could probably imagine. We're going to be visiting 3 of the distilleries on the island, which will be Laphroaig, Lagavulin and Ardbeg. And this is the 3 Distilleries Walk. Islay is very famous for its whiskies. All of them are heavily peated, so
I'm probably not going to like them.
Jude is not a fan of heavily peated whiskies. They are the ones that I like. I've been looking forward to coming to Islay for a long time. So yeah, this is probably the pinnacle of a whiskey lover's summer, I would say. If you come to Islay, manage to get a beautiful sunny day like this. As you can see, there's no clouds behind us, and somehow get yourself on the 3 Distilleries Walk. And basically you're going from Port Ellen, where we are now. Port Ellen does have a distillery owned by Diageo, but they don't currently make any whiskey. They are making it, but because they closed for 20 or 30 years, they used up everything they had in barrels, creating expressions, and so they don't have any ongoing whiskey to be making like your standard 12-year-old. They opened again in 2024, but that means that 2024 plus 12 is going to be the earliest they can actually bottle any whiskey and sell it. So no distillery there. Across the bay there's Bowmore as well. We're probably going to go there tomorrow because that is my favourite whiskey. And I've forgotten what I was rambling about.
I don't know, but there's also wine. I want to try the wine. Dave doesn't think it'll be very good based on us being in Scotland and England.
Yeah, Scotland doesn't really have the weather for a vineyard. There's also a rum distillery on the island, which personally I think is more of a tourist gimmicky kind of thing. Also probably for the people that don't like whiskey, you've got to put something on, because we looked yesterday and the distilleries are probably one of the only things on the island to do. Realistically, if you don't like whiskey, probably don't come to Islay.
Or sea trips. Sea trips are heavily offered, but we don't need those because we've got our own. And there is a gin distillery as well, but that's on the other side of the island, and I was looking into it, and they do like foraging walks, so you can go and see and forage for like the botanicals that they use. I don't think we'll end up getting over to that because it's further across from even Bowmore side, but we have both tried the gin, and I think I liked it. Dave's not sure if he can remember.
No, we had a lot of different gins at home before we retired, so I can't remember them all. But we can always try them again if we need to. So so we better get walking. The last of the distilleries, Ardbeg, has its cafe there to get some food. That stops taking orders at 3:30, so we need to get there by then, and it's a 2-hour walk-ish. We've just seen a sign that says at 3 miles, so Jude and I walk fairly fast. I doubt it'll take us that long, but we'll see. Everybody says it's 2 hours. I'm sure adding in a couple of drams of whiskey on the way will make it 2.5. But it's 11:20 now, so we should make it in time for some food. And then, in theory, we get the bus back before the hangover kicks in. So we'll take some footage on the way. It's a beautiful island. It's an amazing day today. So look forward to sharing more with you. Yeah. We've made it probably 400 yards along the path of the 3 distilleries tour. It's been a lovely walk, but as we walked we thought, let's just check opening times, and it turns out the Ardbeg Distillery is completely closed today, so we are going to turn around and get the bus to Bowmore and check out that distillery today. It's not on the 3 Distilleries Walk. We will hopefully do that walk tomorrow instead. Hopefully it'll be just as nice of a day. These things happen. We're not the world's best planners, and we very rarely do research until we're about to land somewhere. So it's entirely our fault. But we will rescue the day and go and do something else. We'd failed with the walk, so we got the bus from Port Ellen to Bowmore, a small town around 10 miles further west on the island. As you may have guessed, most of the distilleries are named after their towns and villages, or vice versa. We never worked out which came first. The Bowmore Distillery has a tasting room looking out over the bay. As we walked in, we were met with some history of the distillery and some very interesting pieces of that history, including bottles old and new. The Bowmore 1957 54-year-old on display here cost quite a bit more than our boat, at over £400,000, and is only one of 12 bottles made. The hand-blown glass bottle represents a wave hitting the Islay coast. As we entered the bar, we were given a welcome dram of the Bowmore Feiss Isle 2025 Special Edition Whisky, a common practice in distilleries to welcome you in as a friend. We chose a few drams and a cocktail and set about tasting them while chatting to the barman, who doubled as a tour guide. Although we were not on a tour, he was happy to share his knowledge. Eventually we retreated back to Port Ellen and enjoyed the beer garden at No. 1 Charlotte Street Bar, which sits right on the beach. This is a great place to enjoy a drink while you watch the sun go down. Well, it's the following day now, and we went to Bowmore yesterday instead of doing the 3 Distilleries Walk because one of the distilleries was closed, as we mentioned yesterday. So today we are resuming that challenge, and we're going to walk along the coast to the Laphroaig, Lagavulin and then Ardbeg Distilleries. Hopefully they'll all be open. It looks like the buses aren't running back, so we may have a 2-hour walk out and a 2-hour walk back, but fingers crossed we make it today. So we're probably a mile into the 3 Distilleries Walk, going much more successfully today, and we are just passing the Laphroaig Maltings house. I assume it's what it is. Very big warehouse just next to us, and we just got a whiff of the whiskey itself. So we, you know you're near to it, but it's quite interesting, the experience on the island. Sorry, there's a couple of cars going past. It's a surprisingly busy little island. The experience isn't just looking around and seeing the whiskies and tasting, it's the smells around the island as well. So I think I got some footage yesterday while we were in a pub garden. The Port Ellen distillery was burning some peat, and there's just an enormous plume of smoke into the sky. So you get that smell of the peat fires, and here you're getting the smell of the maltings and the whiskey as you're walking past. So it's a really in-depth sensory experience around the island, but all whiskey based.
It is making me realise though that it might be too early for whiskey.
It's not too early for whiskey. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's fine.
I'll be on the whiskey cocktails as my tasters.
Yeah. So again, we've got to get to the Ardbeg for lunch. It's a 2-hour walk there, so we'll get there about lunchtime. We're only going to have a dram in these first two, Laphroaig and Lagavulin, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
So that's Laphroaig done. We had 3 whiskies in the bar there, the standard 10-year, the quarter cask and the Law. And at the end they gave us a shot of Law cask strength, which is basically 60% alcohol, which is a lot of alcohol. But they've given us those to take away. We also bought a couple of miniatures of the standard 10. We don't need full bottles on the boat. We don't have that much storage on the boat, and Jude likes to fill the storage with gin anyway.
I didn't mind. I was a semi-fan of the, what was it, the standard 10.
Yeah, the standard 10-year-old Laphroaig is it's one that you'll either like or you won't like, because it's got a sort of medicinal taste to it. Due to something about the way they make it with the stuff, but it tastes a sort of iodine kind of a flavour, which it was the first whiskey that I actually liked. I was in a pub in Lochfine, the Oyster Catcher, about 10 years ago or something, and the barman wouldn't accept that I didn't like whiskey. I said I just throw up every time I drink whiskey, so he tried me on a bunch of different ones. Laphroaig was the one I was like, oh, that's actually tastes all right. And he then said, well, there you go, you like peated whiskies, so try this next one, this next one, this next one. I tried them, I liked them, and the rest is history. I have been trying whiskies ever since and enjoying them. Really interestingly though, just wait for this car. Hopefully you shouldn't hear that car too much though, because we are actually wearing our mics for the first time since the We Quit video. We've had all this gear. The truth is it's just a hassle to get it ready and use it each time. We are living our lives as well, so carting all this stuff around with us all the time is a lot of work. So apologies for some of the bad audio we've had with wind noise and whatever. We will try and improve that. We are trying to improve that, but at the same time, like if we're going out to a pub, we're not taking a massive sack of gear. Anyway.
Probably not taking the camera anyway.
Yeah, often we just don't take the camera, so you guys don't see half of the stuff we get up to.
Okay.
So that's a third of the 3 Distilleries Walk done. Just taking you over here. So Laphroaig have done an interesting thing where basically when you bought a bottle of Laphroaig, and I think even if you still do, they give you a unique number and you can register that, and you will then own a square foot, I think it is, of land or a square metre, something like that, on Islay. I never honestly thought that I would end up coming out and seeing my plots of land. I own at least 2, so I am Laird Lusty in this fabulous land. Everybody in Scotland that owns land is a laird.
And they've been calling Dave that, obviously, because they know. Look at him.
And so, I'm going to cross the road here. So where we are right now is where the plots of land are. And just behind us over here, there's a little sort of stone hut thing that signifies where the Laphroaig land is. There's a Scottish flag up next to it. So coming down into this field, this is where our plots of land are. So the magic of having microphones on is I can turn the camera and continue talking to you. So here's the sign. These grounds are the property of Laphroaig Distillery, reserved for the friends of Laphroaig who have a lifetime lease of an unregistered plot which is recorded at the distillery. Friends are entitled to a yearly ground rent of 1 dram of Laphroaig. For more information, please call our visitor centre. So I didn't claim the free dram of rent for this visit. They'd already given us a couple of free ones. I had forgotten about it. It's not something I took overly seriously. Apparently they have had people turn up with little fences and set aside their own land and put their flags up. Hopefully all in a bit of fun. But yeah, quite interesting to finally see this. It was probably 10 years ago I registered my first piece of land here. And I've had at least 2. I've had a quarter cask and a 10-year-old that had those, and I'm pretty sure I've had others, but when you're drinking whiskey you're not counting. So yeah, on this lovely fine day I am quite proud of my little plot of land.
Which piece of land are you taking?
We're not actually sure which piece of land is mine. There are little white flags over in the field over here, which presumably is when people ask to see their plot, somebody comes out, finds it and puts a flag in. I've got to be honest, I imagine they just wander out and plonk a flag in the ground rather than, in theory, they've measured it out and they've numbered all the plots and they're all in order, but the reality is I doubt anyone cares. It's a free dram of whiskey when you visit Islay, which is a fantastic bit of marketing. So well done to Laphroaig.
Maybe on the way back we'll get our extra free dram.
Yeah, maybe on the way back we'll pop in and demand, because we'll have had 9 drams of whiskey by then, probably. And maybe we'll be drunk enough that we demand our rent. So video coming tomorrow, Dave and Jude in jail for causing a ruckus at a distillery. But yeah, quite interesting to come and see. And we will probably join you next at Lagavulin after what we're told is another 10 minutes walking. Well, we've made it to Ardbeg. So we're now just up the hill from the distillery. If I come over here, just turn you around and we can see the distillery there at the bottom of the hill. So this is our final distillery of the day. We are 7 shots of whiskey in, drams. It was interesting, the contrast between Bowmore and Laphroaig and the Lagavulin. We felt the Lagavulin was much more commercialised in comparison with the others, so there was no welcome dram. It was just a bar. The bar was selling whiskies from all of the Diageo brands. So that was kind of nice, because I gave Jude some different whiskies that I thought she might prefer to the peaty smoky ones. But it was also kind of not the distillery experience that the others were, where you're just talking about one distillery's whiskies and enjoying those. Also the gift shop, so we've been buying the little 5 centilitre tiny bottles of the whiskies from the others. So Bowmore had a nice set of 3 of the I don't know, the 12, 15, 18 year old, or 10, 12, 15, I can't remember what the numbers were. Ardbeg had their standard 10-year-old whiskey in 5 centilitres. They didn't have any of their others, and Lagavulin didn't have any in the little ones, which is weird for a tourist location. You would think just gives people something to take home to try out, and maybe they'll buy a bottle later. That was a strange experience. I thought it's a nice thing to be able to take the little bottles, and especially for us on a boat, we don't want massive bottles of every type of whiskey, but it's nice to have a few little select ones to enjoy when we're in the mood. So yeah, that was disappointing that we couldn't get those. The smallest was a 20 centilitre, but it was a special one, so it's still like 60 quid's worth of tiny bottle of whiskey. Yeah, and I have to say though that the marketing of Lagavulin makes it look posher than the others so far. They've put a lot of money in to make it seem premium, and the whiskey is very nice, and it is a premium whiskey. So yeah, it was a very upmarket experience, but not as friendly and localized as the others have been. The others still have that local distillery feel. Bowmore, it wasn't obvious that they were owned by some multinational Japanese conglomerate that also owns Schweppes, interestingly. And Laphroaig, we're not sure whether they're owned. They probably are, but yeah, it's interesting. You would sort of assume that a lot of these were still small local businesses, but they're not. They've all been bought out by enormous companies. So, but it's amazing experience on the island nonetheless. So we'll go into Ardbeg now and try our last few whiskies of the day, and importantly get some lunch. We've only eaten breakfast, and probably some food would do us good at this point. Well, that's the 3 distilleries done. Ardbeg being the last. Ardbeg is owned by
Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy.
Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy Fancy Pants Group. And it shows. I mean, it's a more fun place. The drinks are more fun in the way they're marketing them. They've got one called the Smoky Verse. They've clearly got a team of artists designing those boxes, and the tasting room / bar / cocktail area, absolutely stunning. Lots of thought gone into it. Cocktails were interesting. The Ardbeg is an incredibly smoky whiskey. It's the top of the smokiness on the taste chart, which I hopefully put in somewhere in this video. The cocktails, therefore, that it makes were really smoky, but they were fruity cocktails. So Jude had one called Bramble. I had one that was raspberry based, but interestingly both of them were really smoky still, so it gave a much more interesting twist to the cocktail. And a lot of people tell you mustn't waste a Scotch whisky, a single malt, on cocktails, and you mustn't put ice in them and blah blah blah. Actually, I thought it made a really amazing cocktail that was different than what you would normally get. So something a little bit different to what we're used to. But yeah, the when we got there, they gave us welcome drams. One was £120 bottle, the other was I think 100. Jude's was her favourite, was the more expensive one as ever. And then we had some cocktails that we bought. We bought some 5 centilitre little miniature whiskey bottles for the boat. And then we went back to buy a couple of drams of just other whiskies to try. Asked for them. The guy poured larger drams than usual, handed them to us, and then said, "Those are free." And we were like, "Oh, that's awfully nice of you, thank you." So yeah, incredibly friendly place. Really impressed with Ardbeg. Bowmore was very friendly yesterday as well. They've all been friendly, but I think this one just blew us away with the friendliness. We also went to the there's like a food van outside. We had haggis and cheese toasties, my new favourite. I had a haggis and cheese toastie yesterday over in Bowmore, not the distillery, the town of the same name. And yeah, I feel like haggis, toasties and whiskey is my new staple diet. Jude may have words to say on that staple diet, but she's not a nutritionist, let's be honest. So Jude, what did you think? Do you want to talk to the camera?
We might just have to cut this bit out. I don't know. I may have had too much whiskey. So by the end of that, I did enjoy the Ardbegs. I think, to be fair, it might make sense. I don't mind the smokiness, but I like that it was a more delicate whiskey. So hopefully...
And on the taste map that I will show, Ardbeg is on the light side, but smoky.
So hopefully that does make sense, that what I like is slightly like smoky, but a delicate whiskey. But we'll see. It might just be because we've been drinking whiskey for quite a long time.
The whole day.
Sorry if I scared you.
No worries. Yeah, bike just went past. So yeah, it may be just because of drinking whiskey all day. It may be because it was a nice whiskey. The £120 bottle was definitely my favourite. I then quite enjoyed the 12-year one.
Standard Ardbeg.
Oh, was it not the 12?
Nope.
But yeah, then that was okay. And the cocktails were very nice. Mine was particularly good, but it was fruity and smoky, so it was a nice balance. I don't think I have anything else to say.
Yeah, so we've referred to the taste map a few times, and I think I spoke earlier about how I realised I liked whiskey. If you don't think you like whiskey, you probably just haven't tried enough of them. Find yourself the taste map and just try a few different, more smoky, less smoky, more peaty, less peaty, richer, cleaner, whatever. There's probably one in there that you like. And the whiskey taste map is Scotch specifically, single malts. Other whiskies do exist. They're less good. But yeah, so if you find the one that you like, then you can work your way from there and find the ones near it on the taste map. And normally you'll find that you like the ones near it as well. So give it a go. We're slightly out of breath now. We're walking back. It was a 2-hour walk there, just the walking plus 3 distilleries, and we're now walking back. I think it's 3 miles back to the boat, something like that, and or back to the pub. If you drink whiskey all day, you end up thirsty, despite drinking, especially the peaty ones. Just suck the moisture out of your soul. So a couple of beers afterwards tends to set you right. That's my plan. But yeah, it's a lovely warm day for it, so we don't mind walking back. The original plan was a bus, but the buses don't run on Sundays. We could have got a taxi. There was one at the distillery.
Had no personality.
Didn't have a driver, but the taxis clearly are going, but it's not that long of a walk, and we need the fitness more than anything. So that's our whisky tour of Islay. 4 distilleries in 2 days. Oh, probably 15 or 16 whiskies, if not more. Water for a few days, I think. Or grape juice, fermented grape juice, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, and please join us next week when we sail east to the island of Jura. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.